and don't be afraid of the dark. At the end of a storm, there's a golden sky and the sweet silver song of love. Come to the wind, walk on to the rain, though your dreams be tossed and blown. Walk on with heart in your heart, and you'll never walk alone. You'll walk on with hope in your heart, and you'll never walk alone. You'll never walk alone.
Thank you, Michaela, for sharing your talent with us and with Andy's guitar playing. Good morning and a very warm welcome to Ashley and family, and also an extended warm welcome to family, Matilda in France, family in Perth, and friends joining us via live stream this morning. Before I get started, I would like to mention on behalf of Ashley and his family, you are all welcome to join them out the back of the courtyard at the mill after the service this morning for light refreshments. It's on the corner of Bong Bong Street and Bundaroo Street, and there's parking on Bundaroo Street and also across the road at the station, so you're all more than welcome. I will say with a heavy heart that Natasha and Andy cannot be with us today. They are heartbroken and they feel very guilty for not being able to be present for Robyn's service today. Natasha and Andy were with Robyn when it mattered the most, looking after her when she most needed it, making her smile, just being there, always giving Robyn strength, courage and support. They feel very lucky, grateful and honoured to have had that very special time with Robyn. My name is Linley and I'm honoured to be here with you this morning to help you remember, reflect and to celebrate the life of Robyn, Linley, Dane. We have gathered here together because Robyn has found the comfort and contentment of peace. We will remember the woman she was to all of us and hold those special memories, your love and all the special moments close to your heart. Even though Robyn's passing has meant a physical break in the chain that binds you to each other, the influence and lasting legacy of Robyn's life will always be evident whenever we speak her name. We take comfort in knowing her spirit is free and her pain has ended, and she leaves this earth with the knowledge that she has had great purpose in her life, always surrounded by the love from her family and many friends. We grieve today with Robyn foremost in our minds. Her passing has brought sorrow to all of us, but while we think of Robyn's passing with sadness, we should recall her life with respect and happiness and celebrate the person she was. You see, nothing can detract from the happiness and the closeness you shared with Robyn. Nothing can affect the treasures of life that Robyn knew, and nothing can affect your love for her and her love for you. Feel grateful that Robyn was a part of your lives, and let the memory of her character reside within you, remembering the person she was and what she meant to all of you individually. We will celebrate Robyn as a strong and capable woman. She was kind, cheerful, selfless, and unassuming. The family called her the quiet achiever. Robyn was also generous with her time and supportive in friendship. She was accomplished in all aspects of her life, with many great characteristics that made her who she was. Robyn's greatest achievement was her family, and her family was her world. Robyn was a loving wife to Ashley for 53 years, a devoted and caring mother to Simon, Natasha and Matthew, a treasured nana to Michaela, Matilda and Annalise and Archer and Wilder. Robyn was also an adored friend to many. Robyn was born on the 12th of August 1943 in Perth to Glyde and Edie Turton. Growing up in Perth with 4 siblings, the Turton household became a very busy place. Robyn was second in the lineup of children, with Gay the eldest, then Robyn, Pamela and twin brothers David and John. The children attended school in Claremont. After Robyn finished her schooling, she completed her training as a nurse at the Princess Margaret Hospital for Children. On the 7th of Jan 1965, Robyn boarded the SS Himalaya from Perth to London for her first overseas adventure. And as fate would have it, on the very same ship, Ashley boarded the SS Himalaya from Adelaide to London. As they sailed the high seas, Robyn and Ashley finally met on the sea deck and enjoyed a drink together with friends. From that point on, they kept running into each other. Stopping at each port on their journey, Ashley would take Robyn on day trips to Sri Lanka and Bombay, just to name a few places. And by then, Ashley was madly in love with Robyn. When they arrived in London, he declared his love and they travelled Europe together. In 1966, Robyn's parents travelled to London to visit their daughter, and this is when Ashley asked Glyde and Edie for Robyn's hand in marriage. In 1966, Ashley came home and Robyn stayed on working in a London clinic. Then 3 weeks later, she returned home to Perth. From there, Robyn moved to Adelaide to be with Ashley. And on the 1st of February 1968, they married by the Swan River in Perth. After they married, they boarded the ship from Perth to Sydney and then drove to Adelaide, where they had an apartment. In 1970, Simon was born, then Natasha in 1972, and Matthew in 1980. Simon and Natasha started school in Adelaide, and then the family moved to Turramurra in Sydney, then to Blaxland in the lower Blue Mountains, then to Mount Waverley in Melbourne, where Matthew started school. The family moved back to Blaxland, and this is where the children finished their schooling. In 2014, Robyn and Ashley moved to the Southern Highlands to be closer to family and friends and to live in a quieter area. Robyn never sat still. She was always active, playing tennis and squash, going to the gym, riding bikes, and loved to travel. Robyn was also a ballet dancer. Robyn was the driving force for her children, always there and always present in their lives, and the catalyst for the family's artistic pursuits. Her creativity and talent were shared with the children and grandchildren. Her granddaughter Matilda is now following her passion, studying ballet in Bordeaux, France. Robyn was loved and well regarded, and she always shared her goodwill and had many close friends. In 2019, Robyn received the devastating news that she was diagnosed with motor neuron disease. This cruel and relentless disease took everything. Ashley and Natasha became Robyn's full-time carers, and it was only in the last 2 months of Robyn's life that the family needed help and she went into Abbey House. On Tuesday, the 28th of December, Robyn passed away at the age of 78. The family would like to thank the nurses and carers at Abbey House for the kindness and great care taken with Robyn. They would also like to thank the many nurses who were great colleagues and close friends of Robyn's. The family have set up a donation page with MND New South Wales. You will see the QR code on Robyn's card, and you can scan it, and this will take you straight to the donation page and the MND website. The family would greatly appreciate donations in lieu of flowers. So let's give to this very worthy cause in the hopes that one day they can find a cure for this relentless disease. I would like to invite Simon and Matt to come and share their memories of their mother with us. And we know you are here with us, Natasha, sharing these memories as well.
So let me preface this by saying Tash wrote a lot of these words, so if it sounds a little out of place, that's why. For most of you that knew Mum well, you would know she would definitely not have enjoyed being the centre of attention here today. She would have been embarrassed that people had to put themselves out for her. She would have laughed nervously, reading all the wonderful tributes her friends and family had posted on social media, not believing they were for her. Mum never would have given a second thought to how much of an impact she has made on so many people's lives. She was humble in her gloriously unassuming manner. Mum would be feeling for my brother and sister right now. Family traits are a funny thing. Some traits we are proud to inherit, others can be somewhat of a burden. We've all inherited Mum's disdain for public speaking, especially when that public speaking will undoubtedly leave us in a blubbering, snotty mess. But despite knowing that Mum would likely be hiding in the back pews to avoid the spotlight, she deserves this. It's important to celebrate her wonderful and selfless life, her loves and her passions, because she was everything to our family. So today, Mum, front and centre for you, whether you like it or not.
Mum grew up the second of 3 girls in a happy household in Perth, with 2 younger twin brothers rounding off the child-raising achievements 11 years later. Her dad, aka Papa Turton for us, was a super smart, solitary kind of guy with limited time for kiddie shenanigans, although a lot of time for his work as a scientist with the CSIRO and for tinkering in his man cave, which we also spent a lot of time in. Her mum, aka Nana Turton, was a beautiful force to be reckoned with. She had lots of time for the children and was one of the sweetest but strongest ladies we've ever known. The apples certainly did not fall far from the tree for Mum and Nana. When Mum was 14, her dad decided to take a posting as a scientist in Baghdad. Now, in those days, travel like that was a huge undertaking. Baghdad was a beautiful and rich city. Daily life for expats consisted of parties, socialising, servants and indulging. My grandparents packed up the 2-year-old twins, John and David, leaving Mum and her two sisters, Pamela and Gay, to be looked after by a lady named Mary Agatha Gertrude Collins, a reportedly very grumpy and emotionally unavailable housekeeper, who Mum unkindly nicknamed Chook Legs. Gay at 17 and Mum at age 14 were left with the responsibility of caring for their sister, Pamela, who was also only 9 years old, with the help of Chook Legs, of course. One can only imagine that this would provide an environment that would create a special kind of closeness between the sisters.
Growing up 6 years younger than Mum, Pamela remembers Mum as the glamorous one of the bunch, at least back then. Mum taught herself to sew, and so she did. Wonderful outfits that were the height of 60s fashion. Mum certainly didn't suffer for her fashion though. However, her sisters, it seems, may have. As the middle sister, she became quite adept at cajoling and bribing her sisters into spending countless hours as her lackey, with her friends, with her hands in peroxide, creating a wonderful blonde mane that was then teased to within an inch of its life, almost needing its own postcode. When reminiscing, Mum always used to laugh, saying she always felt like the unglamorous one later in life, compared to her sisters. We used to laugh that she definitely peaked early. To complete the look, Mum, of course, had to have matching cool transport to go with her cool outfits. She purchased a wonderful Lambretta motor scooter to get around Perth on. Her driving skills took somewhat longer than her sewing skills to perfect.
She didn't like that.
Her sisters clearly remember her maiden voyage in the front garden, scooting backward and forward across the grass at 17, showing off her Lambrettering skills to her family. Didn't end so well, unfortunately. The confidence grew quickly. The Lambrettering skill did not, and she looked less than glamorous as she landed unceremoniously in a pile of miniskirt, arms, legs, and blonde bouffant splayed on the front yard grass. Mum never gave up on her scooter queening. We took Mum and Dad to Thailand for their 70th birthdays. Without a word, Mum enthusiastically hitched her sarong up and off she rode on her bike. Only a mere 55 years between rides. Well, we are here today because of what I think was probably a pretty typical 1960s girl meets boy love boat story. Take one long voyage on a ship to England, mix that with a bunch of questionably nice boys from Adelaide and a bunch of sweet nursing girls from Perth, all on their first adventure away from their parents. You can only imagine the shenanigans. Fancy ship dinners in fancy dresses and suits at the captain's table, dancing all night, and possible rumours of too much rum and tabletop dancing for a girl who, on all accounts, had not even had a tipple prior to boarding. There, on their very own love boat, blossomed the 52-plus year romance of Mum and Dad.
Travel was always in Mum's blood, from her early days in Europe with Dad, with her parents in Scandinavia later in life through Canada, visiting Matt and Kate, several trips with good friends Joan and Jeff Valance, and coming full circle with catching the cruise ship bug again with Si and Rob. That's me. We are saddened that she still had so many places on her bucket list that she didn't get to see, but happy that she got to experience so many wonderful trips with Dad, their close friends, and with family. Mum and Dad made several pilgrimages across border each year, seeing old friends across Adelaide, Melbourne, and of course did several 5,400 kilometre round trips across the Nullarbor Plain. It's very beautiful, but not so pleasant in the back of a 1970s aqua-coloured Valiant in 45-degree heat in the middle of summer, with two chimneys smoking in the front seats. The 70s. They had a weird love for motels in odd little places together. I know they've clocked up more miles than some of the busiest interstate truckies on their road trips, and would have definitely eaten more soggy toast delivered through bizarre little breakfast doors than we would care to think about.
For all of Mum's humbleness, she always had a secret streak of competitiveness running through her veins. She would never boast or brag after a win. and she never needed to. From a young girl and into her more senior years, she pretty much had a knack for winning at most sporty challenges. Yeah. In her younger years, she was a wonderful gymnast, played hockey and softball like a demon. She was a ballet dancer until her early 40s. She could whack a tennis ball with great speed and precision until well into her 60s, and could whip anyone who went up against her at squash. In her early 70s, she couldn't do without her daily dose of gym classes and line dancing with her boot-scooting friends, followed soon thereafter by a cup of tea and a natter. She felt a deep void when she could not continue to see her friends, be a part of an active life, and laugh and communicate freely like she used to. Being unable to dance and play and hug her grandchildren was the cruelest of fates that she could face.
Mum was never afraid of a challenge. She was amazing. Growing up, she took us on camping trips, sometimes solo, and would not think twice about driving us interstate in the old Valiant. Never openly panicked about its ability to boil over at every set of lights. Then there was the pitch black country road incident of 1985. We were in the middle of nowhere, no mobile telephones, no telephone boxes, no houses, when the aforementioned Aqua Valiant blew its headlights. Mum didn't panic. She just tossed us a couple of torches from the glove box and told us, "It'll be fine, kids, just hang out the window and act like a headlight." All in a night's work.
We have many vivid memories of Mum just getting things done without fuss. Tash remembers coming into a room in Adelaide one day and finding Mum balancing precariously on a board up high between two tall ladders. Now, this is pretty normal behaviour for Mum. Mum and Dad both knew their strength. Redecorating was always Mum's domain. So there she was, busy perfectly wallpapering her 8-foot ceiling, as you do at 8.5 months pregnant. She was quietly unstoppable. Mum was kind and gentle and always the nurturer. She was shy and happy for others around her to shine, preferring not to be in the spotlight. She laughed easily with her beautiful grin and was always up for giving a good little humoured ribbing to others when needed. When Mum first began losing her voice from MND, she was advised to record phrases on her iPad that she could eventually use in place of her voice that we all knew sooner or later she'd tragically lose. We were sitting in the MND offices in Canberra with her speech pathologist, showing her how to record on this specialised microphone. As a practice, the speech pathologist asked Mum to record an important, meaningful and heartfelt phrase. Mum quietly took the microphone. We were expecting something along the lines of, "I love you, my children." Andy, Tash's husband, pushed for, "You are the greatest son-in-law ever." But no. She trepidatiously took the microphone and with her deadpan look, the meaningful, heartfelt phrase she chose to record was the running joke, "For God's sake, Ash. For God's sake, shut up, Ash." That was Mum. She would come out with gold sometimes, usually coupled with her wry smile. That phrase continued to be the most used phrases in her app for quite a long while. Always said and greeted with a smile, of course. It saddens us to think we don't have those recordings of her voice. She never finished recording those phrases. She got bored. She really never thought it would come to losing her voice completely. Always optimistic, Mum.
And as her babies became parents, there was never a moment where Mum would not come to the rescue or be there when we needed her. She was our on-call nurse, our most beautiful underpaid babysitter, and the biggest supporter of her extremely loved grandchildren. There wasn't a ballet recital, theatre event, school assembly or sporting event that she would not endeavour to attend for her kids or her grandkids, even if it meant driving for hours. Without a shadow of a doubt, Mum would also have loved to have added champion over 70s skier to her list of achievements, had Destiny not played her the MND card. Unfortunately, she didn't get to have more than a taste of ski life, but even when she was no longer mobile, she was beyond excited to be strapped onto Kate, virtually, of course, so she could ski via video cam, joining all the grandkids, including her 4-year-old grandson Archer, zooming down the powdery mountain slopes. She was always a glass half full kind of girl. Even being confined to a chair could be an adventure. Mum was that person that could be calm in the eye of a storm. There was not a question for any of us that Mum wouldn't be there during the birth of our babies. She was magic at helping all of her kids during those tricky first days and weeks, and knew just when to take over if a parent meltdown was about to occur.
She had a beautiful knack of only giving as much help as was needed and knowing when to step back. She could diffuse potential 2-year-old tantrums and confusion without even trying. She was adept at helping to navigate distressing moments, such as when Archer realised the awkward truth that he had been usurped by his new baby brother for his prime sleeping position. I think anyone would agree that Mum's kindness and smile touched many. She was a loving, devoted and extremely patient wife to my father, was a caring and committed nurse to every one of her patients, was a steadfastly loyal friend, and was simply the best mother and nana we could all have wished for. She laughed easily, loved ferociously, and lived her life with a smile that brought joy to all those whose paths she crossed. She will forever be in our hearts. We love you, Mum.
Thank you so much, Simon, Matt and Natasha, for sharing the beautiful memories of Robyn. And I'm sure, like you said, she would have loved the grandkids running around. That was a very special moment. So now we'll take a few minutes to quieten our minds and look through photos of Robyn's wonderful life. As we look through the photos and listen to the music, remember the good times, the happy times, the laughter and the tears, the struggles and the triumphs, remembering Robyn's love for you and her love for you and your love for her.
I found a love for me. Well, darling, just dive right in and follow my lead. Well, I found a girl, beautiful and sweet. Well, I never knew you were the someone waiting for me. 'Cause we were just kids when we fell in love, not knowing what it was. I will not give you up this time. Oh, darling, just kiss me slow. Your heart is all I own, and in your eyes you're holding mine. Baby, I'm dancing in the dark. between my arms, barefoot on the grass, listening to our favorite song. When you said you looked a mess, I whispered underneath my breath, but you heard it. Darling, you look perfect tonight.
Sei la mia donna, la forza delle onde del mare. Cogli i miei sogni, i miei segreti, molto di più. Spero che un giorno l'amore che ci ha accompagnato diventi casa, la mia famiglia diventi noi. E siamo sempre bambini, ma nulla è impossibile. Stavolta non ti lascerò. Mi baci piano ed io torno ad esistere, e nel tuo sguardo crescerò. Ballo con te nell'oscurità, stretti forte poi a piedi nudi noi. Dentro la nostra musica ti ho guardata ridere e sussurrando ho detto: tu stasera vedi sei perfetta per me.
Ballo con te
Nell'oscurità, stretti forte poi a piedi nudi noi.
dentro la nostra musica.
Ho creduto sempre in noi, perché sei un angelo e io ti ho aspettato quanto ti ho aspettato.
Perché tu stasera
Sei perfetta per me.
Unforgettable, that's what you are.
Unforgettable, though near or far.
Like a song of love that clings to me, how the thought of you does things to me never before has someone been more
Unforgettable in every way.
and forevermore.
And forevermore,
That's how you'll stay.
that's how you'll stay.
That's why, darling, it's incredible that someone so unforgettable
Thinks that I am unforgettable too.
why, darling, it's incredible
that someone so unforgettable thinks that I am unforgettable too.
I'll be seeing you in all the old familiar places that this heart and mind embraces all day through. In that small cafe, the park across the way, the children's carousel, the chestnut tree, the wishing well. I'll be seeing you through every lovely summer's day, in everything that's light and gay. I'll always think of you that way. I'll find you in the morning sun, and when the night is new, I'll be looking at the moon, but I'll be seeing you. I'll be seeing you through every lovely summer's day, in everything that's light and gay. I'll always think of you that way. I'll find you in the morning sun, and when the night is new, I'll be looking at the moon, but I'll be seeing you.
Gosh, what a beautiful slideshow, and lots of fantastic life memories there to hold on to. And her smile was magic. Family and friends of Robyn, it's now time for us to say farewell. We will take our precious memories of Robyn with us and hold them very close to our hearts for as long as we are on this earth. In love and respect, we have remembered and celebrated the life of Robyn, and now in sorrow, but without fear, we say goodbye. Robyn will reside in your memory. You will never forget her, and you will always feel comfort just by thinking, remembering, and speaking her name. We will remember Robyn through all the seasons and for all time, through the long warm days of summer, the cold and chill and storms of winter, through the freshness, green and flowering of spring, and the mists and fine colours of autumn. She will be at rest and in peace. And to you, Robyn, with admiration, we acknowledge your laughter. With a smile, we acknowledge your sense of humour. With gratitude, we acknowledge your determined spirit and passion for living. And with love, we thank you for sharing our lives. Until we meet again, may you rest in peace. Thank you all for being here today to farewell Robyn. As we play the final song, the family will come forward to say their goodbyes, and they will place white daisies on Robyn's coffin. daisies were on Robyn's wedding dress, so it's very symbolic. After the family, you are all welcome to follow and pay your respects to Robyn before you leave the chapel, and then the family will meet you at the mill. Thank you.
Somewhere beyond the sea, somewhere waiting for me, my lover stands on golden sands and watches the ships that go sailing. Somewhere beyond the sea, she's there watching for me. If I could fly like birds on high, then straight to her arms I'd go sailing. It's far beyond the star, it's near beyond the moon. I know beyond a doubt my heart will lead me there soon. We'll meet beyond the shore, we'll kiss just as before.